For almost an hour I'm trying to record this video, and it's difficult because it contains so many details. This is my last try, and otherwise I'll pick the previous video. There is one recording that's quite good, but I hope I can do better because it's important for you to get this clear. Today it's 23 September 2025, and today I expect the fulfillment of the first verse of Daniel 9:27. And I expect this because I'm working on a book for about 4 years now about the biblical end of times. It's not published yet, but once it gets published, I'll let you know on this channel. So subscribe if you want to keep updated. But on that particular timeline, with the Rapture on 10 September 2029, so Rosh Hashanah in the Hebrew year 5790, exactly 4 Hebrew years from now, or 7 times 7 synodic months from now. That's why I think that we can see the fulfillment of Daniel 9:27 today numerically as a result of the United Nations General Assembly in New York. So we have the timeline with the 70th week of Daniel from Passover 2026 to Passover 2033, and in the midst of the week he, from Daniel 9:27, shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease, so the abomination of desolation in the midst of the week. Also the rapture at the last trump at sunset, when the sun sets in Al-Riza, Egypt, so the most western point of the original promised land, the river of Egypt, from Numbers 34.5. That's the moment when I think the rapture happens. The last possible trump. So from this morning, when I woke up from this dream, until the rapture is slightly over 49 synodic months, 4 Hebrew years. And it was my intention to remain silent until my book was published, but now with the dream on this day I have to share it, I have to put it out, and I don't know if it's going to be seen by people or if it's going to remain silent for a while, but I have to share it today. So the dream. It started a bit blurry, but I know there was an airplane that lost an engine. The engine fell down. I think this represents a year that has ended on the Hebrew calendar, and I think this because, again, my timeline today is 4 years until the abomination of desolation and the rapture, and I saw in the next vision in the dream was about a Boeing 747 from the KLM, the Royal Dutch Airlines, and the 747 has 4 engines. Because of that, the engine represents years, or that was my assumption, and because of that, I think the broken engine represents the year that gets to a closure now. The next thing I remember is that I was at the entrance of the highway near my hometown, near the town where I was born. I entered this highway, which is called A27. So 27 immediately reminds me of the 27th book of the Bible, Daniel. And also because I expect the fulfillment of 9:27, also 8:27 is possibly a hint to the verse. I enter this highway and I know it has a double function. It has the function of a highway and the function of a runway. At least, maybe not as an airport, but at least for emergency landings. And I am on this highway. I don't know if I'm walking, if I'm in a car, but I remember that just before the exit of the next town, me and my family go over the barrier through the bushes to a road that's called a parallel road. and that's about the end of the dream. So I recognize very specific places. It's connected to the entrance of the highway, to the exit of the highway. It's certainly where I got over the barrier was between the halfway marker of a place called Uppel, like going up, and it was before the exit of the next town, but I don't know where it was exactly. So that's not a solid point, and that's important because there are numerical codes related to where the dream was pointing. I hope I can explain it, because the previous tries didn't work out. It was a mess of numbers. So I got off the highway, and that was the end of the dream. The first thing that I did, I already told you, was recognizing the 4 engines as 4 years. But I also recognized the KLM Boeing 747. And what I often do when I see people or cars, specific cars, my own car in my dream, I make the production date, I look up the production date or date of birth, and I compare that to the dream date. It seems to be a numerical code connected to the items I see or the persons I see in a dream. So the Dutch Royal Airlines received their first Boeing 747 on 31 January 1971. The code is 31171, 31,171. The King James Version, the Bible, in English, has 31,102 verses. So the difference between the code I found related to that airplane and the Bible is 69. Yeah, 69. The most famous 69 in the Bible are the 69 yearweeks of Daniel. So that's the second reference to Daniel. We have the 827 highway, and we have the 69 days, 69 weeks. So I decided to look into it a little further, and what I expected was you have these markers on the side of the road and you have a number on it. Every 100 meters there's a marker. And I expected when I would zoom in on the highway, I would see 92.7. Yeah, 92.7, because it would spell, sorry for messing up the numbers, it's not my native language. I am looking for the code 27 for Daniel, highway 827, and then 927 for Daniel 927. So the only way to get it from the highway markers is marker 92.7. Sorry for the mess of the numbers, but I hope you get it clear, and I put it up here so you can read what I'm trying to say. But it wasn't there. It was 31.1, something like that. So what I did, I went up north and I found the marker where it says 92.7. I measured the distance to where I think my dream scenario was, and it is about 49 kilometers, and that would exactly fit my timeline for 49 synodic months. But it's too easy because I have about a kilometer, 1.5 kilometers leeway, and I would pinpoint what fits what I'm seeing. So what I did, what I knew for sure was that I was above the halfway point, above Uppel, and my starting point was, I'll put it in screen, my starting point was the entrance of the highway, and I know that it was before the start of the exit of the next town. So I put the start of my entrance and the end of the exit. And when I compare from north to the exit and from the north to the entrance, and I take the exact middle of the two distances, I get 49.03 kilometers from the 927 mark, the 92.7 mark. So what does this mean? If I see the highway 827 with its coordinate where it says literally Daniel 927, my dream happened 7 times 7, 1 week of sevens from that particular point. There is a little bit more, because as I said, it is Rosh Hashanah today. It's 4 Hebrew years until the Abomination of the Desolation and the Rapture. It's 7 times 7 months. So a Boeing 747, what does it spell? A 4 in the middle. With a lot of fantasy, it might look like an X without my glasses. Accompanied by 2 sevens. So the 777 and the 4 in the type of the airplane. But what it also says, the dream, what I said, the highway marker was 31.1, and that's what I looked into the street view. So the first marker I saw was 31.1. You cannot verify it, but you have to take, you have to believe me on that. But it is there. You can check it, that it's in the range where the dream happened. So 31.1 reminds of the verses in the King James Version, 31,102. But it's also a date on itself, 31,102, which spells 31 January 2002, 31 years after that Boeing landed on Schiphol for the first time. So I'm playing a little bit with the highway markers, 31.1, 31.0, but it connects the plane to the Bible date again. I hope you can follow this. Please don't shoot me in the comments. Give constructive feedback, ask genuine questions, and I'll try to provide you with a genuine answer. I don't think it's my task to convince you. I try to provide what I'm seeing. And it's up to you to do your own research, to draw your own conclusions. And again, if you want to learn more, subscribe to the channel, and at least it'll keep you updated about the coming book that explains how I got the timeline. And there are many beautiful confirmations. Once you have the answer in mind, there are many ways to get to the same answer. That's for later. For now, I'm going to finish the video. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. And I'm looking forward to the news. I'm curious what's going to happen.